Hello, hello, check, check, mic check. Can you hear me?
Can you hear me now?
Are you listening?
How about now?
Hey guys, how's it going? My name is Antonio,
Hey everybody, I'm Edwin.
and today we have an interesting topic. What is the difference between hearing and listening? Do you hear or do you listen?
Have you ever heard that question before? Do you know the difference?
So, what's the difference between hearing? Is slightly different between hearing and listening. So, to hear, you need no effort. You hear a sound. You're possibly hearing us. But what's the difference between hearing and listening? Listening, it takes an effort. You clicked on the video and you wanting to listen to us. You want to voluntarily, consciously understand the what the sound is. So.
Right.
That's the difference between hearing. Hearing is involuntary. You hear the alarm go off, you hear a bell, you hear your alarm in the morning, but when you listen, you try to understand what the sound is doing, and you want to interfere with that consciously.
Right. Yeah. This hearing is more of a physiological aspect. You're only using your ears versus listening, where it's more psychological and it requires more of an interaction from your part. You require more of your brain to actually interpret the message that you're getting. And like we were talking earlier, like a really simple example that we were just talking about is, let's say you're gonna go to sleep and you've got the washing machine going, right? You're hearing the washing machine. You don't think anything of it. You're going to sleep. Oh, the washing machine is going. I've probably got clothes in there. That's it. That's all you think about. But let's say that you're like in a forest, right? It's at night, it's dark, and you're walking, and then all of a sudden you hear a twig break. It snaps, and then immediately you're starting to listen. Like, what was that?
Bigfoot, big ghost.
Squirrel. So immediately, your brain turns on, it activates, because now you're paying attention to, okay, so where did that noise come from? Is it something that's going to hurt me? What's going on? So
Yeah.
that's kind of like a super basic, super simple explanation, like to kind of compare the differences between the two.
Yeah, you do hear the sound, but it requires processing. So you intake it, requires processing, and then you're understanding. Oh, it was twigs. Oh, it's leaves moving. Oh, it's this. Or I'm understanding, comprehending what you're saying. Like as we're speaking now, I have to be listening to you in order to know what to respond.
Right.
If not, then I'll be like, hold on. What did you say? What did you just say?
Can you repeat that?
Yeah. What were we talking about again?
Yeah. Let's go to the beginning. So, but yeah, it's that's where we're kind of going to talk about that a little bit, because there's a reason for everything, right? So God made us how we are. Why do we think, or have we ever started to think, or you as a listener, you're joining us in the episode today, have you ever stopped to think or to wonder, I have 2 ears versus one mouth? Have we ever thought about that? A lot of times we take that for granted. We don't really bat an eye on that. We don't really think about it. In the Bible, there's a verse that I ran across. It's in James chapter 1, verse 19 and 20. It says, "Know this, my dear brothers, everyone should be quick to hear, slow to speak, slow to wrath, for the wrath of a man does not accomplish the righteousness of God." So I think that really kind of puts it in perspective, where it talks about we should be quick to hear or quick to listen, in this case, but slow to speak. When you're breaking just that first verse really quick, it's giving priority over listening versus speaking.
Because we have 2 ears, 2 ears, one mouth. So
Exactly.
that's double. And it doesn't seem like a big difference, but do we talk more than we listen, or do we listen more than we talk? So it has to be double listening, only one half, or half talking.
Yeah. So it's like, everything has a purpose. There's a purpose for everything. Why God made us the way we are. So, like I said, everything has a purpose. So why do we think? Have you ever thought of why, for example, our windshield in our car is bigger than the rearview mirror? Because
Yeah.
we're supposed to be looking forward, focusing on the road ahead instead of constantly looking in behind us, so maybe where we were at. So it's kind of the same way with our 2 ears. We need to listen more than we speak.
Yeah.
So
So everything has a purpose, because I know we've talked about this. Where is the location of your ears? You have one on each side.
Yeah.
You have one mouth in front of you, so you're talking obviously forward, but you have an ear in each side, so you have surround sound system. You can listen from all directions. So if you only had one ear, then where would it be? But you have two, so now you have to listen everywhere,
Exactly.
and only speak one way.
yeah, it's like you're receiving. Your ears are picking up everything around you. It's like little antennas, of everything that's going on. And kind of what I was thinking too is, if you think about it, your brain is smack in the middle between your ears, right? So your brain is processing everything that you're listening to, or should be listening to. It's all coming in. It's all coming in, and your brain is processing it to see if you need to interact with whatever you're listening to, what you're hearing is something that I need to pay attention to. Or does it require my intervention in any way? So
Yeah, and then after it processes, then it should come out of the mouth. So in the verse that you said, it says quick to hear, slow to speak, and slow to wrath. So let's say I said something that offended you, talking smack, or an insult, and you take it the wrong way.
Right.
So you heard it. You're quick to hear.
Yeah.
And okay, but let's say you didn't speak. You're slow to speak, but you were quick to wrath. So you didn't take it. You didn't say anything, but I felt it coming. You punched me in the face.
Yes.
So
Yes.
slow to speak, but
Yeah.
slow to wrath. So how do you take it in? How do you process it? And where does it lead you? That you're listening, how does it affect you?
Right.
And where is it guiding you? Is it guiding you to wrath? Is it guiding you to anger? Or talking too quick? Like what happens when you talk too quick? You might offend somebody, or you might say something you didn't really mean, or you would want to take it back. And that's a very dangerous thing, because your mouth has so much power.
Oh yeah.
So much power in that what you say really matters. It makes a huge difference.
Yeah. Yeah. It's like we were talking earlier. There's been plenty of wars that have started by just the power of the tongue. Like maybe a miscommunication, a wrong word said in the wrong time, or someone just like, someone was quick to wrath. Immediately they got mad and something happened, and then it ended up in war. So,
but the mouth also has the potential for peace. So you have that double-edged sword, where you can either create a war or you can create peace through your mouth.
Right.
So let's watch what we speak about and what we say.
Yeah, and that happens a lot nowadays. Like you said, I always say we live in a world where life is constantly like moving. It's so quick. Everything is so quick. Everything has to be fast, and it's that microwave mentality where everything has to happen super quick. We want everything quickly. But, this verse really tells us, hey, calm down, be slow to speak. Think about this first, don't get mad immediately, because we never know. Maybe something will be heard. We interpreted one way, right? But it was meant a different way, So
they didn't say it that bad.
Exactly. Or they didn't mean it that way, but we interpreted it that way. So,
or sometimes they try to offend you, and it's like Matrix, it goes over like what?
Dodge the bullet,
What did?
I don't even know what it was.
Come again?
Exactly.
And then, do you consider yourself, Edwin, a listener or a talker?
Oh man, I've been working on being more of a listener than a talker. I
Yeah.
think, yes, because it's just just studying your faith and really getting close to God and learning that we should listen more, because for one or other reason we're quick to start adding in our 50 cents, our 2 cents of, all right, here, this that. So on the other side, I'm trying to work on that, where it's like, all right, I need to listen more, because a lot of times, really, if you think about it, the more we listen, the more we actually get. And
Yeah.
and sometimes we help more by listening than trying to talk. How about you?
Yeah. Well, I mean, at one point in my life, I did consider myself more of a listener. And I would notice this. I felt not listened to. I felt like nobody
Yeah.
was listening to me. Or if maybe I didn't say anything either, but I felt like if I were to talk, nobody was going to pay attention. Nobody was going to listen to me. So I did notice that other people, like let's say we were eating together. This would happen in school when we would eat lunch. So the conversation was going on over here, but then you see some people that whenever they would pitch in and say something, nobody would pay them attention.
Yeah.
So I would notice that, and I would try my best to listen to that person, and maybe even if we were talking here, interact across the conversation to that person, because I felt connected to them. So I didn't want nobody to do that to me. So I tried my best. Or if 3 conversations were going on together at the same time, which sometimes I did, I would try to, okay, answer this person, and then hold up, say that one more time, and then interact with everybody. So I felt like I was more of a listener, because I didn't want to be that person where nobody listened to me.
Gotcha.
But then, as I started talking and speaking out a little bit more, I did struggle with that, where I was saying maybe a lot of nonsense, thinking my head, or speaking my mind. And it was like a new power that I didn't know how to control. So I did struggle with that for a little bit, and maybe I still struggle with it a little bit. You might hear me stuttering a little bit, so my mind is going like the speed of light, and my mouth can't keep up with it. So that's where we have to be slow to speak, or it's also a practice. So if we do need to become more of a talker, which is not bad, yes, talk. We have to. We're called to preach to the whole world. So how can we preach with gang signs?
Yeah.
Not gang signs, but without speaking.
Yeah.
And so we are called to speak, called to talk. But let's tame the tongue. Let's tame the tongue.
Oh yeah, because the tongue is a very powerful tool, just like our mind is, and through the tongue we can aid someone, or we can really destroy them.
Yeah.
So
yeah. But that's how it was for me.
Yeah. And also, one of the benefits, of being a listener, being a listener creates a relationship. And we're not talking about, I mean, it might lead up into that, like, let's say between a boy and a girl, like they're listening, and then, it flourishes into a relationship, which, if that's God's will, then so be it,
True.
But between just friends, acquaintances, like let's say me and you were just listening to each other, we're talking, giving back to each other, that we're building that relationship, because, you're really, I feel like us as humans, we're meant to be listened to, because one of the reasons why we, go to confession is because we have that in deep in our hearts. We need to be listened to, and we need to hear from God saying, all right, I've listened to you.
I absolve you.
Exactly, I absolve you of your sins. This was because deep down, us as human beings, we want to be listened to.
We want to interact.
Exactly, we're lacking. We want that interaction.
Yes, and this is the same thing with God. So we're quick to speak to God. God, I need this. God, this. Can you please do this? Hey, I'm struggling with this, God, that. But then, do we listen to God? Do we give him an opportunity to talk to us? So we're quick to talk to God That right there, we're quick to speak and slow to listen. So do we take the time to listen to God?
Yeah. And, listening to God, can be many ways. It can be in prayer, in silence,
Through other people.
through other
So
people.
yeah, if you don't interact with other people, how are you? God is trying to talk to you through Edwin, and I don't listen to you. Then I just miss the voice of God.
Right. Yeah. And a lot of times sometimes we miss that where, let's say, let's say we're asking God for some sort of interaction in our life. Let's say we're asking for his blessing, or we're asking him to guide us in the right way, or put us in the particular position where we can help someone, or help us go through, overcome whatever moment we're going through. But we never know, because he does everything, he answers our prayers at his time. He knows the perfect time when it's going to happen. But we feel like he works on our time, and that's totally incorrect. He works at his time whenever he sees it fit, because he already knows what's going to help us more.
Yeah. So we have to be prepared to listen.
Exactly. We got to be ready for that. And we never know. It could be we asked for something today, and maybe a week from now, a month from now, we're in the situation where we actually need to be listening to someone. But if we choose not to, God is putting everything in our path to get to that point that we asked for. But if we're not willing to put our part, it might not happen.
Yeah.
Or we're just delaying that.
Yeah.
So.
And then when we say pay attention, what is pay attention? If I'm paying you attention, what does that mean? It's like there has to be an exchange.
Yeah.
You're speaking, and I'm offering this in exchange, the attention. I'm
Right.
paying you. You're speaking, and I'm paying you with attention.
With attention,
and it's a matter of respect and common courtesy. Somebody is speaking to you, and somebody says, "Hey, good morning," and you don't say anything. No, it's common courtesy. Hey, he just spoke to you. He just said, "Good morning."
Yeah.
What's your reaction? Hey, good morning.
Good morning.
How-
or at least
how-
just smile,
No, man, you got to respond.
More than that,
I
but
think
at
you
least
gotta respond.
smile.
Somebody says, "How are you?"
Oh, yeah,
and
yeah,
you don't
definitely.
say anything.
Yeah.
That's more common. People might say, "Hey, how are you?" and you don't say anything.
Yeah.
He just asked you a question. Like, what?
Yes.
and
yes.
you don't respond.
And a lot of times I think, too, what happens is a lot of people will not interact because of a moment of
Awkwardness.
Yes. So I don't know if anyone has ever experienced this, but
True.
like you're walking down a super long hall,
yeah.
and you see someone walking towards you from far away, right? And
Yeah.
you've seen them, you saw them see you, right? You guys notice each other, still far away, and you're just kind of looking down, looking up, like to see, make sure that they're still coming. You're
And,
like,
and if they look
hey.
at you, you look down, or you look
Exactly,
you change.
exactly. And you finally get closer, and just close enough to where you can talk or say something, and all you do is like raise your hand, or nod your head as
That's a guy thing.
an acknowledgement of like, hey, I'm here, you're there.
What's
Good.
up?
Yeah. And instead of like, hey, how you doing? But I think because of that, because of they're avoiding awkwardness or something, they choose not to speak.
Yeah.
But why not? You never know when a conversation like that can lead to something way bigger than that.
Yeah. So it takes an effort to pay attention, because obviously we want somebody to pay attention to us.
Right.
There's times where we want that attention. Like, hey, like, man, I just need somebody to listen to me.
Yeah.
Like, hear me out. And let's say somebody else is probably in that situation, but then they come into you and you're like quick to tell them, hey, man.
Oh, yeah.
Or any circumstance. You just might not know how much they just need to be heard.
Yeah.
They need to be listened to.
Yeah.
And you're too quick to respond. So then they're like, oh man, like why did I even open up when they're not even listening to me?
Right.
So you don't want to be in that situation. So, help somebody out and just listen to people. They have so much, everybody has so much interesting things.
Yeah.
And we like to kind of like relate everybody to us, or think that everybody it's understanding what we're going through, so you just don't care what they're going through. But
Right.
everybody's uniquely important, uniquely like very distinguished in differences. So everybody has an awesome story to tell, awesome experience, and hear them out, and then maybe you can hear they can hear you.
Right.
But I would recommend listen more than you want to share about you.
Yeah.
So whenever you meet somebody, listen to somebody in order so you can relate to that person, and then maybe speak.
Yeah.
But you want to pay more attention and listen more than you speak about yourself.
Yeah. Focus on the other person.
Yeah, focus on the other person.
Yeah. And you know that's true, because a lot of times, and we may mean well, you know, we probably want the best for them, and you know, we think that in that moment maybe they want to hear, you know, a tip or you know, some good advice from us. But like you said, maybe all they want is to be heard, you know. So I think we would do better sometimes by just doing that. And you know, I'm personally, you know, when I'm saying this, I'm talking to myself at the same time, you know, like personally listening to, let's, for example, my wife, listening to her a little bit more, you know, and or listening to my family, my relatives, my friends, coworkers, and listening to them more versus trying to put in my 2 cents. Because you know, you, like I said, I may my intention may be well, but it might not help, because we don't know. We might not help, you know?
Yeah.
So, but all, like I said, all sometimes all it takes is just to zip and listen.
Yeah. And phones don't help out. Phones are a very big distraction. You go everywhere and you see everybody on their phones. We went to this park one time, and there was a couple walking together. So they were on a walk, but each person was on their phones, you know, looking down, and they were following the path, but
So
not
they were each
looking
walking
up.
with their phone.
So they weren't really walking with each
With
other.
each other,
They were walking with their phone.
phone.
Yeah, or they were walking the phone.
They were walking the phone. That's
or,
right.
or the phone was walking them.
Oh,
Yes,
man.
so it's a very big distraction, especially when it's time to eat or actually time to
Yeah.
talk. Like, do you put your phone in between you and that person? Is technology, this technology, is it? Do you put it here, or do you put
Yeah.
it off, you know, to the side? And so that's a big difference. And I'm very against somebody, whenever I'm speaking to somebody, that they have earphones. And you see this everywhere. People working in construction, and you go into the store and you ask an employee some question that you need to find something, and they have an earpiece, and you hear them saying something, and I've said, hold up, what did you say that again? And, oh, I'm talking on somebody. So that's disrespectful, man. I can't stand it. And
Yeah.
there's this one guy.
I have to remember not to wear headphones around you.
No, it's because, I mean, you can wear them, but I mean, I try to, you know, take it out, like,
yeah.
hold up, and then we'll speak to them,
Yeah.
and then, okay, once, you know, okay, done speaking, then you
Right.
can put it back. But I mean, what's so important in that you're listening to, that you can't pause that in order to
Right.
interact with people lively?
Yeah.
Like, we're live, we're actually here present, and you want to have some, I don't know, song. I mean, if you're listening to a Short Journey podcast, definitely
yeah.
keep your earphone on. But anything
playing.
else, take it out, and have that respect for that person.
Yeah.
Give them your full attention. And there's this one guy he would use his earphones. You would ask him a question, he'd be like, "Huh? What do you mean, huh? I didn't say huh, or I didn't ask you a question in order for you to say huh." And
Right.
you wouldn't say huh if you knew what, or if you would have heard. So if you would have listened.
Yeah.
So he heard me say something, but he didn't listen to me.
to what
So
you were
that's
saying.
the problem.
Yeah.
Are you just hearing,
Yeah.
or are you listening?
That is the trick question. So, homework right there, guys. That's food for thought. Are you listening, or are you hearing?
Yeah.
Obviously, there's certain moments where one applies versus the other. But I would think that whenever it comes to human interaction, focus on the listening part versus the hearing.
Yes.
So
much interesting things that we may miss
Yeah.
from very interesting people just
Yeah.
because we didn't care to listen.
remember, every person is a world, and your world could be touched by their world if you just listen.
Yeah. So remember, life is a short journey, and let those who have So life is a short journey, and let those who have ears hear.
Yeah. So that's it for today, guys. Thank you guys so much for your time. As always, like, subscribe, review the podcast. Let us know what you think. We're listening to you guys.
Yeah. So talk back to us.
Yeah. So we'll see you guys in the next one, okay?
Pax bonum.